I've had a very busy month, starting early month, Phoenix, Japa retreat. Next, Houston, Japa retreat. Next, in Central New Jersey, Japa retreat. Next, Naperville, Vyasa Puja. Fourth Japa retreat. Nice to be with all of you. This is the introductory topic, enthusiasm, determination, and patience, which is essential, certainly for japa, and for that matter for anything that's worthwhile. Enthusiasm, determination, and patience. And this worthwhile topic for the weekend is our relationship with the holy name. And it's really nice, that's simple, and it's very sweet. So the phrase is taken from Upadesh Amrita, or Nectar of Instruction. Both of these images are book covers for Rupa Goswami's book, Rupa Goswami's writing. And his magnus opus, as it's called, his major work is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But to synthesize and distill to sutra-like standard is this Upadesh Amrita. And we're going to be discussing these three basic favorable items in bhakti, and it's drawn from verse number 3 of Nectar of Instruction. The verse is shown on the screen. Let us chant it together. Utsahan nishayat dharyat tat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato vrite shadbhir bhakti prasidyati. Now some of you may have already, or will sooner, hopefully, rather than later, will enroll yourself in a Bhakti Shastri exam. Prabhupada's language. Bhakti Shastri exam is 4 essential books: Bhagavad Gita, Sri Ishopanishad, Nectar of Devotion, and this one, Nectar of Instruction. So this is an essential text amongst 4, and this verse is an essential text amongst the entire book, Nectar of Instruction. As you can see, it's cryptic. It's just words, and words that aren't full sentences, for that matter. So there's 6 items. Shadbhir, bhakti, or prasidyati. Prasidyati makes perfection. Bhakti becomes perfect through these 6 items. And if color-coded, these first 3, that's what our focus is going to be. Utsahan. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. 1, being enthusiastic. 2, endeavoring with confidence. Nishayat. Dhairyat, being patient. 4, acting according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna. That's 4. 5, abandoning the association of non-devotees, and so that each of these requires some explanation. Abandoning doesn't mean like dump on people or something. It means intimate friendship. So we're friendly towards all living beings, but intimate friendship is with those who are devotees of the Lord. That's the meaning. And 6, following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, tat karma pravartanat. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. So we're here, and we're engaging in devotional service, and it'd be nice to be successful, and what to speak of complete success. So these items are very important, and we're focusing on these first 3. There's a nice image on the screen. one of the reasons it took me so long in previous venues was I would spin out and tell stories. I like to tell stories because it helps understand the subject. So you see the painting, or excuse me, the photograph. There's a tree, and then there's a tree, there's above the ground part of the tree, and there's below the ground part of the tree. And the below the ground part of the tree, normally we don't see because it's below the ground. But this particular photograph has captured the roots of a tree. And the roots of a tree give strength and they give support to the tree. Without the roots, the tree isn't going to stand straight. With the roots, the tree can grow very, very tall and carry many leaves and so forth and so on because of strong root structure. But we don't see the root structure, we see the tree. So the point is, we're going to be discussing things that you can't see, but you can experience and discern the effect of these not so visible things or items. Utsahan, we don't see it. Have you seen some enthusiasm somewhere? Etc. They're subtle. They're within. But they make their manifestation outside, just like roots develop a tree. I'm going to tell a story. Story time. During this past summer, I was visiting many places, and one of the places I visited was California. And one of the places I visited in California was the place where Shyamasundar Prabhu stays. And in case you don't know Shyamasundar, you're out of luck because he's really a wonderful devotee. Prabhupada disciple that did many wonderful things. And his wonderful things that he did with Prabhupada is written in a 3-volume book called Chasing Rhinos with the Swami, and if you haven't read it, read it. It's nice. It's very nice. So he's a very good writer, and he's really fun and funny and very learned person. So I went for a walk. He lives in a forested area. So, but there's a trail, like a dirt path, walking along the trail, and he was pointing out this kind of tree, that kind of tree, and there's giant sequoias all over the place, like giant sequoias. And he was giving how many years old they live and how they find out how many years old they live, because when there's a noise coming from the child in the back. Can you do something about that? Like take the child to another room or something? Okay. Guess that was a no. So we're walking along the trail, sequoia trees, and he said, you know how these trees stand so tall? They have a massive root structure. And is there such a thing as a sequoia tree seed that you can plant and get more sequoia trees? No. Like banyan trees, they're also really big. But there's banyan seeds and a banyan fruit. And then the seed, you plant the seed, you can get a banyan tree. You wait a while, a few hundred years, and got a nice banyan tree. Sequoia tree, this is, biology or botany. He said, we're standing over here, there's the trunk of the nearest sequoia tree is over there. And how does the sequoia tree grow? It grows from the ground because the roots produce shoots. And then the shoot comes out of the ground. And he said, see that clump over there? That's not weeds. That's a baby sequoia tree. And it's produced from the roots, like you can see in this nice photograph. Now this particular kind of tree, I don't know what kind of tree it is because I'm not a botanist, but that's how sequoia trees manifest in a very strong root structure, like, big area because it's a big tree. can stand for hundreds of years. It's a strong root structure. So similarly, these three, they're subtle. They're like the root structure of bhakti. And with them, bhakti will grow. Without them, bhakti won't grow. You have to have root structure. And the water goes to the root, and then the rest of the tree gets the water, right? That's the system, nature's system. So similarly, these three have interconnecting qualities. A little graphic to show the gears. There's enthusiasm, and we're going to hear about enthusiasm. And enthusiasm starts to grow. Like, how does one become enthusiastic? Well, it starts with there's something inside. That something inside becomes awakened by something outside, like the sadhu sangha. But so some faith. And that faith can become enthusiasm. Like, I really like this. In the beginning, it may start, as one goes on and on and on, it may become less as it was in the beginning. But the beginning, it's the enthusiasm, and that's like a gear that makes nischaya, the determination, or a fixation to go further, go further, go further. And then you have to be patient sometimes to go the rest of the way. So the idea is, enthusiasm helps to be determined. Determination or confidence enables being patient because you're heading in the right direction. And patient while sustaining enthusiasm. So they're interconnected. That's what's being meant. And now we're going with the first of the three, enthusiasm. Try it tomorrow morning. Hopefully you'll get up sometime tomorrow morning. And when you get up tomorrow morning, anticipate, like this lady is doing, it's a new day. And so whatever you did today and the day before today, yesterday, start fresh with enthusiasm. That is, greet the day. Here is an opportunity to grow in my relationship with Krishna. And particularly the relationship with Krishna is through the sound vibration form, or vachaka form. His sound vibration form. Some of you haven't been to a Japa retreat, but I'll assume you've been around Hare Krishna movement for a while. Like, otherwise, why would you come here on New Year's Eve? Because there's something Krishna conscious going on. So let's go. So the name has form. The Bhagavatam has form, as you were aware. Padma Purana indicates. The 12 cantos correspond with each of the body parts of Krishna, starting with his 2 lotus feet and so forth, up to his face and his smile and his everything. Each of the cantos correspond with some part of the form of Krishna. So the Bhagavatam is Krishna, the name is Krishna with form, and the form of Krishna, of course, is with form. And you and I, each of us, have the opportunity to strengthen, to receive and rekindle and restore our forgotten relationship with Krishna, just through sound. Very simple and very sublime. So, enthusiasm. Here's a few little sayings. Here's one, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Many of you are not from America, but if you're from America, you certainly know Ralph Waldo Emerson because you studied him in 9th grade literature class. Right? Yeah. Maybe 10th grade. Ralph Waldo Emerson. So, he is an American author. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. So this boy's got a skateboard and he's got his, whatever he's got on his back, he's ready. Enthusiasm. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. There's many, many, many references about this enthusiasm. We'll discuss what enthusiasm is and what it isn't. Here's a picture of what it isn't. Here's Srila Prabhupada's definition of what it is. You'll remember this tomorrow morning. If you don't remember it tomorrow morning, call me and I'll remind you. Or write it down in your little something, your handheld device, so you know what enthusiasm means. Enthusiasm means endeavor executed, we'll say it twice, endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness is called utsaha, or enthusiasm. Really simple. Endeavor executed with intelligence, then what's intelligence? To know who you are. And that means knowing who you aren't also. But you're not the body, but then who are you? So, intelligence, buddhi, means to know who you are. And in Krishna consciousness, that is for the satisfaction of Krishna, is called utsaha. Now the image is to explain what bhakti isn't. Just a little sharing, another story. Some time ago, a few years ago, I was hearing Bhakti Chaitanya Swami discussing Bhakti Aloka. We'll hear a little bit about Bhakti Aloka. It's a book by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in which he details and details and details what bhakti is and what bhakti isn't. Bhakti Aloka. It's a nice book. It's a nice topic. So, when discussing Utsaha Mayi, he, Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, told the story. So I'm sharing. The story was, one time George Harrison was paying a visit to the Bhaktivedanta Manor, which he donated. And when he came to visit, in came this limousine, and a few devotees came out. One devotee paid full dandavats right in a puddle. And the fellow stood up, soaking wet, mud soaked, not just water soaked. And George looked at him and said, "You didn't have to do that." With a nice British accent. That's utsaha mayi. Over-enthusiasm or overconfidence or over-endeavoring falsely. So, endeavor with intelligence in Krishna consciousness. So now, a little exploring of what this intelligence in Krishna consciousness means. Guess what? Our acharyas describe it. Would you like to hear what they say? Say yes. Yeah, me too. So, Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami, one of our stalwart 6 Goswamis, predecessor acharyas, followers of Lord Chaitanya, in his Bhakti Sandarbha he writes, listen carefully, there are 2 methods of taking shelter of the Lord. 1, by announcing that one has no other shelter. 2, by giving up all other means of shelter, using good intelligence. So there's the affirmative and there's the negative. You are my shelter. I have no other shelters. How did one get free of those other shelters? By intelligence. Question, do people have other shelters? Answer, yes. How many? Too many. Some are easy to let go of. We've let go some of them, that's why we're here. But, we're still here. And sometimes struggling, or more than sometimes struggling, too much struggling. What are we struggling with? These other shelters. Because it's a source of misery, not a source of shelter. But so, there are these 2. the affirmative and the negative. And intelligence helps us become freed from the negative. To support, common practice by our acharyas is they say something affirmative and then they give scriptural reference to support that something that they say. So that's the system. Oh, this is Krishna speaking to Uddhava in Uddhava Gita. Uddhava Gita is Canto 11, a number of chapters in Canto 11. Krishna is going to depart the world. Uddhava, intimate associate, knows you're going to leave. And he doesn't say, take me with you, but everything else but take me with you. So Krishna understands his feelings, his mood, his love. And he says to Uddhava, give up Shruti and Smriti. That's the Vedas. The path of enjoyment and the path of renunciation. What's left? The desire to hear more about Dharma and what you have already heard about Dharma. Now, I've been through this. So, there's been 16 questions about what does that mean? Give up Dharma. Answer before you even ask the question. It's that which is intended to give fruitive prosperity, as in Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Dharma for the aim of Artha, wealth, money, and be pious and you get more money, and then prosperity in the heavenly realm, that kind of Dharma. That's what's being spoken of. Surrender to me alone, the soul of all beings, using all methods, with bhava in your mind. You will be fearless by my mercy. So that's his scriptural support for this definition of what does surrender mean. It means not this and only that. Like Mami Kam Sharanam. What does that mean? This is what it means. Or, similarly, Uddhava Gita. Oh Lord, this is Uddhava, for one who has been tormented by the terrible path of birth and death, and is constantly overwhelmed by the threefold miseries, I do not see any shelter other than your two lotus feet, which are like a refreshing umbrella that pours showers of nectar. Wait a minute. Umbrellas to keep the rain away, but this umbrella gives showers of nectar from Krishna's lotus feet. Poet. It's the figurative, not the literal meaning. That's intelligence in Krishna consciousness. When we recognize that there is no other shelter, that is intelligence. So now we know what endeavoring with intelligence means in Krishna consciousness. For example, because this comes in Bhakti Sandarbha also, did Prahlad have any shelter? One description that Prabhupada gave about the painting that you see, when Prahlad, is commentary by Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, when Prahlad was being pushed off the cliff by Hiranyakashipu's henchmen, he was sailing through the air, and Vishnu, as you see, he's ready to catch Prahlad before he crashes to the jagged rocks at the bottom. Vishnu was not showing himself. Vishnu was thinking. Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur writes. What's he going to do? Is he going to scream? Is he going to cry? And Prahlad didn't scream or didn't cry. He just went sailing through the air because he felt under the protection and shelter of the one who gives always protection and shelter. And because he felt like that, sure enough. Now, those of you that are going to be around for the Sunday program, you're going to hear more about this. That is, corresponding to the shelter that one takes and the bhakti that one extends to Krishna, Krishna reciprocates exactly accordingly. So one who has full shelter hears the Sanskrit of that verse indicated in the painting. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Now, that's no other shelter. What about this endeavoring with intelligence thing? Is the topic on this slide is material intelligence not sufficient? Answer, no. For example, there's so much mystery that shrouds material existence. What to speak of spiritual reality? Our intelligence can't penetrate into even material mysteries, what to speak of the spiritual reality. On this material mysteries, each self-healing body housing a soul is itself mysterious. Here's for example, here's another story. Once upon a time in New York, I had an ear problem. I couldn't hear out of my right ear. And so, what to do? I made an appointment with an ear doctor. I challenge you, make an appointment for an ear doctor in New York City and see what happens. Ooh. It took days to get the appointment. When I sat in the place, there were like 500 people sitting in the place waiting to see the same, set of doctors. They had all these anyway. So finally, I got in there, and I said, the doctor says, so what seems to be the problem? Right kind of answer, and how can I be of service to you? I said, I made this appointment when I had an ear, and I couldn't hear, but this big glob of black, yucky stuff fell out of my ear, and now I can hear just fine. And then he smiled and said, the body has a way of healing itself. He put that little light thing in your ear and looked in around and said, you're fine, go ahead. It took several hours to get that happen, but the body has a way, in a mysterious way, of self-healing. We don't understand it. He didn't describe it. It just doesn't always self-heal, but there is ways. There is yet no physical law that explains both micro and macro phenomena simultaneously. No cause for cancer and other deadly diseases. Or, an apple tree. How does the apple tree know how to get the right ingredients from the earth to make apples, as opposed to peaches or pears or something else? Where does that intelligence come from? Now, one can study the push and pull and the cause and the effect on the physical side, but what's behind the physical side? Because matter doesn't move without the touch of spirit. When push comes to shove, when the fragility of life is stark in our face, whatever understanding we have been able to gain has little value. Like, figure how to live forever. We need real shelter. And intelligence those are false shelters. Let me take the real shelter. Now, taking this topic, enthusiasm, utsahan, in relation to chanting, how do we apply it? By the way, this has interactive sessions. That means at a certain point I'm going to stop talking, and then you're going to do the talking. But you're going to do the talking in little groups. And you'll show some stuff on the screen, and you can give you a nice springboard to go in the direction of. Enthusiasm chanting is not the sense of obligation. I have to chant. You know, this little text. Put yourself in Krishna's shoes. If your child comes thinking, I have to spend time with mom and dad because it's compulsory, and that's kind of their feeling, and they don't necessarily say it, but they feel it, and it's not the same for mom and dad, if that's what children say. So here comes, I want to chant. This is the enthusiasm, waking up in the morning, another day, another opportunity, this morning, early in the morning, to chant to associate with Krishna through his holy name. Now who are we? We're little insignificant. What was the phrase that you used that Prabhupada said?
Found you in a dark place.
Found in a dark place, people. What's Krishna want to associate with us for? Really? I mean, really. But he's giving his association through his name. And is there a difference between him and his name? No. Do we have realization of that? No. Do we chant anyway? Yes. Why do we chant anyway? Because we have some faith and some practical experience. Supposing some of you have been practicing Krishna Bhakti for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Back there when you first started, is it have the same amount of stuff that you're carrying as today? What happened? Well, the sound vibration and the practical activities that follow that sound vibration service. And they'll chaita darpana marjanam. Our existence has become cleansed to some degree through sound. We have a way to go, that's okay. The process it works. And therefore, we cultivate an attitude of choosing to spend time with Krishna. This is my most intimate friend, well-wisher, super powerful, Nija Sarva Shaktis, there's nothing he can't do. And I have the opportunity, so that's enthusiasm. Go back to nothing valuable is achieved without association. One should accept, Prabhupada, one should accept this opportunity to return home back to Godhead very enthusiastically. A student, a businessman, an artist, or anyone else who wants to succeed in his line must be enthusiastic. So this is rah enthusiasm. Here's Bhaktivinoda Thakur in this same book I mentioned, Bhakti Aloka. Here's his writing. We should not lose enthusiasm because we have no strength to destroy the reactions of karma. We should expect to experience the following in the flickering stage, and this is the unsteadiness, the utsaha mayi, etc. We saw the utsaha mayi message or image. Enthusiasm is the only support for all types of devotional service. It's the starting point. By enthusiastically performing devotional service, one can give up anishtata, means unsteady, service in a very short time, and thus attain nishtata, steady. All anarthas are vanquished by performing devotional service with enthusiasm. It's the same message in his own language. The word shraddha, that's how bhakti begins, is certainly faith, but enthusiasm is the life of shraddha. Say it negatively. Faith without enthusiasm is meaningless. Many people think they have faith in God, but because they have no enthusiasm, their faith has no meaning. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was not a strident speaker. He was a gentle, persuasive type of person, but sometimes he took very strong stands. Here's our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, writing a letter to a godbrother, Tirtha Maharaj. I'm in due receipt of your letter, 17th instant, and although it is not very encouraging, I'm not a man to be disappointed. Are there prompts for discouragement or disappointment? Plenty. And did Prabhupada meet them? Yes, plenty. I mean, there's many. He would tell his little story sometimes for the first, besides the crossing, to get on that boat, which he had 2 heart attacks, when he got to America for 1 year, nothing. Was he discouraged? No. Twice his Bhagavad Gita manuscript was stolen. He just started again. What's someone going to do with a stolen Bhagavad Gita manuscript? He just started again. Not a man to be discouraged. What if I'm not feeling enthusiastic? Prabhupada wrote a letter explaining, if you're not feeling enthusiasm to dance during kirtan, then dance during kirtan, and enthusiasm will come. That was very simple. And it's true. And you'll be in the association of our founder Acharya with his arms raised like this, and the devotees in kirtan, whatever they may have been before they were dancing on the stage with Prabhupada at Rath Yatra, they're now dancing on the stage at Rath Yatra, and then during the parade and so forth. Okay, that's the first of 3. Now we're going to do this little interactive. I hope you like interactive sessions. In groups of 2, 3, 4, whatever you like, look around yourself, people that you may know, and you're comfortable to share. This is our topic. Why do we chant Krishna's name? What moves us to chant? This is the enthusiasm topic. Is it because it feels good? That's a good reason. Because we promised we would? That's a good reason. Because now it's a habit? That's not the best reason. Because we don't want to suffer? Because we fear the consequences of not doing so? If there is a public versus private response to this question. Now, because of the size of this assembly, we're not going to have little reporting from your breakout groups. But we're going to allow like 4 or 5 minutes. Look around you. And the count of 3, you start to have this little discussion. 1, 2, 3. One more minute? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, the unbridled enthusiasm has taken over. Compliments for being very enthusiastic. And it's always been one of the most enjoyable parts of the little presentation here is the devotees get to talk. But it's not just talking, it's sharing your understanding and Katayanta shamam nityam tushanti cha ramanti cha. It's a way to enhance internalizing messages and then being able to express what you've internalized and hearing others in the same way. It's nice. It's a nice step. So now we're moving into patience. Utsahan and patience. It's a little bit like go and stop. But it's not exactly go and stop, it's just be patient. You'll see as we go along. The root meaning or etymology of patience comes from a Latin word, means endurance or suffering, which is similar from another Latin verb. Dhairyat is the Sanskrit word and derived from dhira or sobriety. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says other persons that aren't dhira, they become restless. I don't see anybody restless here. These boys over here are sometimes a little restless, but and he's happy to be restless. Have patience, all things are difficult before they become easy. Take shelter of the holy name. Now, be patient because Krishna will help in his own time and in his own way. And it's true. It's very customized, depending upon what Krishna decides, what Krishna sees, etc. And we can't demand, Krishna is not our order supplier, we snap our fingers and Krishna fixes everything. It's not how it works. It's not meant to work that way, it's not how it works. Something that I've said many times, and I'm saying it again, at least for the fourth time this month, anything genuine takes time. You want something that's not genuine? Piece of cake. You want something genuine? It's going to take some time. And here's Prabhupada. One should not be impatient in Krishna consciousness. Indeed, this Krishna consciousness movement was started single-handedly, and in the beginning there was no response. But because we continued to execute our devotional activities with patience, people gradually began to understand the importance of this movement. And now they're eagerly participating. Now, would it have happened if he had not been patient because it wasn't happening, and these people are crazy and lazy and misguided and disturbed and unclean, Here's a nice example that I like. This is a Greek contemporary man. It's not a ancient Greek philosopher, but he tells this little butterfly story. So he's, as you know, as a philosopher, he was walking in the forest one day, and he saw a cocoon, and not only a cocoon, like something attached to a twig, but the cocoon was just starting to open, and a butterfly was just starting to emerge from the cocoon. But it took some time. So he wanted to be helpful. This is his writing. He started breathing warm air. The warmth of his breath, he thought, might help the process speed up a little bit. And sure enough, it did help the process speed up a little bit. The butterfly came out of the cocoon without his wings properly developed. He came out a little more quickly than being patient. And then the butterfly, undeveloped wings, was trying to flap his wings but couldn't do anything. And the butterfly was in his hand, and the butterfly died in his hand. And he felt, what have I done? Great remorse. And there's a dead butterfly, but my intention was the opposite, to be helpful. And then, so he came to the conclusion that is our message. Sometimes nature has its own course, and you have to be a little bit patient for nature to take its own course. And if you're impatient, you can cause a problem. You can cause a butterfly to die, for example, in his case. And here's a personal story. This is story number 5. Once upon a time, I was a kid. And when I was a kid, I grew up in upstate New York. And in upstate New York, I was in a family of 5 kids, mom, dad, and the 5 of us. And my father and the whole family was kind of outdoorsy type. And I don't know if they have stuff like this here in Oregon. Probably they do. But there are places where you don't just buy fruits in season. You go and pick them right off the tree. You have places like that? So we all 5 of us plus mom and dad, we got our little baskets and paid the money and went around and picked fresh this and that and the other thing. And one of the things was peaches, because there are different seasons, and peaches came a little bit later. So towards the end, my father saw how enthusiastic we were for picking peaches. He bought a peach tree and put the peach tree in the backyard, because he was an outdoorsy type, gardening and this thing and that. So I remember, I'm sharing with my memory, I looked at the peach tree, first year, no peaches. Be patient. Second year, no peaches. Be patient. Third year, no peaches. Fourth year, these little green things, they didn't go beyond being little green things. And then the 5th year, there were actual peaches, and they were really yummy. And then we moved. But I'm sure the peach tree produced peaches even after we moved. Even though we were probably sad, we all moved and all that. But all in good time. And supposing you're not so patient, how you can nurture patience or enable patience? The ability to be patient is largely dependent upon one's recognition and self-acceptance of the qualities and faults within. Now this is like, a personal improvement kind of. Be patient. On the long flight coming from Chicago to come here, I was, one of the things I was dealing with was a letter from somebody that, they were crying in their letter, trying this, and trying that, and trying the other thing, and boo-hoo, what to do. So, anyway, this is one of the lessons. I could have just sent them a cut and paste. I didn't do that. But when there is impatience or the absence of patience, there's some reasons. Recognition of the laws of nature and self-acceptance. And inside, there's some good things, and inside, there's some not so good things, qualities and faults. I do not loathe myself, impatient with my defects, nor do I have a glorified view of myself, satisfied with complacency. I'm accepting. So it's a quality. This is endeavor with intelligence, right? Accepting and earnestly pursuing a transcendental objective, the result of which is beyond my control. So I'm here and I'm not there, but I want to be there. Then supposing I want to be there. Krishna has, like this doctor said, the body is designed by God. He used the word God in such a way that it can heal itself. So the way of nature is natural, and we just have to be patient, practice something, and become. This is Prabhupada. Practice something, become expert at that something, teach others that something. That's Krishna consciousness. Pretty simple. Here's the context of that. One of the contexts was Burijan Prabhu was trying to maintain a preaching center in Tokyo because Prabhupada sent him to Tokyo, so he was doing that. And one of the things that he did in Tokyo was he was maintaining himself and his wife with the process of helping a bricklayer. So Prabhupada, he described to Prabhupada, that's how I'm maintaining our little center, along with preaching and selling books and things like that. This is like way, very beginning. It was just him and his wife, and a few people. So Prabhupada was asking about it, and so then Prabhupada volunteered. In India, here's how we make bricks. And he described. You get some mud and put the mud on a piece of wood, ignite the piece of wood and leave it alone, and come back and you got a brick. You shape the thing, and that's how you make bricks. So Burijan tried it and made a brick. And he showed the brick to Prabhupada and told him what he had done. And then he asked Prabhupada, is this an okay avocation, a vocation for me? And then Prabhupada smiled and said, anything, then this little, you practice at something, become experienced at something, and then teach others to do that something. That's our process. It was in the context of bricklaying. So whatever it is that we're doing, some of us are newer. Some of us have been around a while. Those of you that have been around a while, you've had some responsibility to be a good example and to teach people how to chant on beads or how to something, how to study Bhagavad Gita, something. And you become expert at that something and then teach others that something. That's our process. And the target ultimately is pleasing Krishna with that something. You connect that something with pleasing Krishna, whatever that is. And if it's not pleasing to Krishna, it just falls away because it's not pleasing to Krishna. So you just leave it to the side, back there somewhere. Another little example. This is a little bird without wings. And this is a little bird that doesn't have his wings developed yet, so he's waiting for mama bird to come and you bring a worm or an insect or whatever it is that mama bird is going to bring to the little bird. And maybe you've heard it, those little birds can make a lot of noise. Yeah? Yeah. And then, of course, with time, he gets wings, and then he just goes off and gets his own meals, however birds get their meals. We can't hurry Krishna. We're dependent on mercy, like wingless baby bird awaiting the arrival of their parent bird with food. Here's the Bhagavatam message. Ajata paksha iva matravat kanga. Oh, Lord aside, Lord, as baby birds that have not yet developed their wings always look for their mother to return and feed them, as small calves tied with ropes await anxiously the time of milking, when they will be allowed to drink the milk of their mothers, or as a morose wife whose husband is away from home, always long for him to return and satisfy her in all respects, I always yearn for the opportunity to render service unto you. Vritrasura speaking to Indra. Here's Prabhupada. This kind of internal mood of reception goes against the grain of modern encouragement of you can do it, you can achieve, etc. We can't do japa. That's a futile endeavor. Rather, we can receive Krishna's association. That's japa. That's what we're doing or chanting. Now, I'm going to mention several times, so you're all mentally prepared. On Saturday, we're going to be embarking on a journey of 64 rounds. We call it 64 round day. Just today, on the way in the car ride over here, I received a letter from a devotee. Yesterday was Ekadasi, right? He somehow was able to chant 74 rounds or something like that, 76 rounds. And it took him most of the day. Then he wrote, this morning, his 16 rounds were done. It was just, he felt he was just picked up and carried to a place that it's not his normal japa. It was Krishna's reciprocation because of being present with the holy name. Because I sent him this little, I'll show you during our time together, a little image about, here's the image. Picture in your mind the following image. There's Krishna in a boat, and there's water on either sides of the boat. And then there's a person looking at Krishna sitting in the boat. That's us, looking at Krishna. And Krishna is saying, be present, and I will be with you. Something like that. And that was it. That he felt Krishna was with him. I wasn't doing it. It was being picked up. We call Krishna's name, and Krishna, if we're calling in the right mood, certainly Krishna will reciprocate with that mood, corresponding to our mood. Now, my guess is tomorrow he won't chant with the same mood. Because it's hard to replicate. You see, you can try to get back into that same mood, but it's mercy. There's effort and there's mercy. There's endeavor with intelligence, utsaha, and then there's mercy. And then mercy comes when the mercy comes. But Krishna's association will be there nonetheless. Here's Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Patience is extremely necessary. Symptoms are patience. Being able to control the 6 urges. That's another item in Bhakti, in Upadesh Amrita. Unregulated speech results in enmity with others by talking about them. Here's a nice example. There's many nice examples. Draupadi said some unkind words. She's not, it's not her nature to say unkind words. But she said some unkind words in relation to Duryodhana. And Duryodhana heard someone say, Draupadi said this. And it stuck. And so he had animosity towards Draupadi, particularly animosity towards Arjuna, who won her hand in marriage. And then Bhima, because he's Bhima, he's so powerful. But it was rooted back to just uncontrolled speech. You never know, so better to be cautious. And when you're going to speak something, speak it appropriately. It's a nice warning. It is not possible to control anger and other urges by intelligence alone. In a very short time, attachment for sense enjoyment overcomes the function of our intelligence and gives anger a place in its kingdom. The mind is conquered. Like the Avanti Brahmana, by remaining firmly fixed in the service of Mukunda. You know this Avanti Brahmana story. If you don't know, it's 11th canto, and it's the whole chapter about Avanti Brahmana. Because of time, I'm not going to go there. There's a need for patience. Here's Burichan writing in his Japa book. By the way, there are different literatures. One of them is this one. It's a really short book. It's very popular because it's short. And it's, he has deeply immersed himself in chanting. So it has lots of nice thoughts. Many devotees struggle with chanting because before they can take shelter of Krishna's names, they have to travel through the desert of seeing the truth about themselves. That they have very little sincerity and no taste. That the mind is uncontrolled and filled with anarthas, and that they have no power to help themselves. This stage is necessary because it convinces us that we have nothing to depend on except Krishna's holy name. This is, I have no other shelter but you. That's the same message. Only when we understand this fact can we chant with a full heart. So, reminders and repeated reminders and repeated reminders as we're traveling through the desert of tastelessness. Both, I'm obligatory japa. I have to hit the 16 number. And we do. But if that's the consciousness behind the activity, it's tasteless. It doesn't produce taste. Rather, whatever the circumstance, you'll be accepting of that circumstance. This is a nice example. You remember from the first canto Bhagavatam, Narada Muni, young boy, he doesn't make any mention of his father. He had a mother who died when he was a young boy, bitten by a snake, and he's left alone in the world. But when his mother was alive, he was associating with the Bhakti Vedantas, and he had learned some process of meditation, etc. So that's what he did in the forest. And Lord Vishnu appeared before him and spoke with him. And Narada was pretty enlivened. I can imagine, a little boy. And then he disappeared. And he was entranced, and he searched, where did he go, couldn't. Then he heard a voice. And the voice said, "You won't see me again for the rest of your life. But continue faithfully, and you'll achieve spiritual perfection. Please continue." So he did, and he achieved spiritual perfection. And that's a previous life to Narada Muni. Okay, here's another discussion. Sometimes we get a little frustrated. It's okay, patience, but God, why are you too slow? So this is your discussion topics. I'm not going to read it. You can read it. And however you want to break yourselves up, same group is fine with me. On your mark. Get set. Go. Okay, I think that's a good sign that we should move on. It's 20 minutes after 8. We've been going for 1 hour and 20 minutes. According to the schedule, it's Prashadam at 8:30. We're not going to make it. But you people are very patient, right? Okay. Confidence or determination. The presentation is using these terms interchangeably, determination and confidence, nishchaya, nishchaya. Confidence. Look, there's confidence right in the center. Krishna loves me. Krishna's got my back. What does that mean? He protects and maintains me. Krishna is his name. And I am in his presence. I don't have that experience, but I've heard it in scripture, and therefore I have confidence. I'm capable of fully restoring my broken relationship with Krishna. Now, some images are going to show. There on the upper left, what's that? That painting in the upper left, that's Gopakumar, through chanting his mantra, makes it all the way back to Krishna Loka. And when Krishna sees him coming along the path, Krishna says, he's coming. He see him there along the path, he's coming. And when they get together, Krishna embraces him. It's really, really sweet. And Krishna starts crying. And Krishna says, I thought you were coming, so I waited patiently, but you didn't come. And then your next lifetime, I thought maybe in this lifetime he'll come, but you didn't come. And several times like that. And finally you come. He embraces him again. Please don't ever leave. I'll never leave, I'll never leave. Krishna loves me. In the upper right, that's Krishna is my maintainer. You recognize the image. This is Paramananda Puri, and he had this practice, a certain kind of sannyas, that he would fast unless somebody came and brought him something. So Madhukari, they would, Paramahamsa stage of sannyas. that, you would die in this country. But in India, he just had his practice. And sometimes he would fast for days. And so Krishna saw him, Krishna brought a pot of milk. He's the maintainer. Krishna said, some ladies saw you, sannyasi, sitting here, said, take this pot of milk to him. We just milked the cows. And when he drank the milk, it wasn't just milk. He was in ecstasy. So, he's the maintainer. On the lower left, that's Srimati Radharani, who was covering the body of Raghunath Das Goswami as he was chanting the holy name in the heat of the summer sun in Vrindavan. His body was baking, and so she came and held her upper garment over him to shade his body so it wouldn't burn. And how did he know? Because he was in samadhi just chanting. But Sanatana Goswami saw, and then later he chastised, what kind of service is this? You're chanting the holy name, causing Radharani to come and serve you. What kind of service is this? He was chastising him. So Krishna is his name, and I'm in his presence, and Radharani's presence as well. And I'm capable of fully restoring my broken relationship with Krishna. So all these are items of confidence. The painting is the king, Prataparudra, who was advised by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya how to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, because Lord Chaitanya was taking the position of I'm a sannyasi and you're a householder, a king and a materialist and so forth. And so, anyway, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya recommended Lord Chaitanya, halfway through Rath Yatra, he'll go into Jagannath Ballabh Garden. You don't wear your royal attire, just wear conventional clothing, and massage his legs and recite the following slokas from the Bhagavatam, and you'll get his mercy. So because he was eager for Lord Chaitanya's mercy, he got it. And here's a nice painting which you've all seen before. Many of you have seen before. This is Prabhupada in Jaladuta, and at his second heart attack, Krishna appeared before him. And then that same evening he had a dream which is in the upper portion. The upper portion was a boat, and Krishna was rowing the boat. But the quality and determination, the quality of determination, if ignited by a personal spiritual purpose or vision, can touch Krishna's heart. And when Krishna's heart is touched, he can do anything. So he placed his hand on Prabhupada's chest and said, don't worry, I'm with you. I'll make sure you make it. And then that night there was a dream of this boat, etc., etc., etc. So Krishna is reciprocating with the determination of his devotee. Now we're not Prabhupada, but we're little devotees, and Krishna will recognize even in little devotees our determination and reciprocate, proportionate to. Purpose fuels determination. You're going to see this fellow a couple of times. In case you don't know who he is, his name is Simon Sinek. I like what his teachings are. He's not like telling Krishna, 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 but he's just describing principles. And the principle is that find your purpose, the why of your life. So for us, that's one of the questions that was asked. What's your purpose in being here? What's your purpose in chanting? One more story. For October 1 through 7, just like we have our holidays, Independence Day, 4th of July. or Memorial Day weekend or something. So in China they have their Independence Day. Mao took over and he won the election, and now everything is communist. People's Republic of China. So they have a 7-day festival. It's not just that festivals like that, people don't work. Workaholic people don't work. And for years, from October 1 to October 7, we have a festival somewhere. But there was a period of time when India wasn't giving visas to people from China and vice versa. So they couldn't go to India anymore. And so we started figuring out different places to go, where Chinese devotees can go and they don't have to have a visa. So one of those was Sri Lanka. So we went to Sri Lanka. And, it's nice, Sundarakunda. It was fantastic. The topic was fantastic. The place was okay. But Sundarakunda. So when we were there, I'm just repeating something that I shared with them 7 days, like probably 14 times, like twice morning, evening. Why are you here? The why, the question. And I think I said it enough times, they probably were asking themselves, why is he asking this question? Because behind that, the why question, you get so many other questions and so many other answers to so many questions, because supposing you know the what and the how, but you don't know the why. Without the why, it's lifeless. Try it. Supposing we're going to do a few things in the course of this weekend, and there are going to be some tools that will help you in your japa. Yay! If you don't have the why question answered, what's going to happen? It'll disappear. It'll fade and disappear. But supposing you have the why question, like, why? Like, why are we here? Why do we chant? What's our purpose in chanting? Don't ask the question, you're not likely to have an answer. Ask the question, you're likely to, not be sure what the answer is. Or you can give a textbook answer, check the box and move on. None of those are satisfying. So that, the personal question, it makes a big difference. It's how a beginning place of bhakti. It's like adau shraddha, faith in what? What vision or deep desire can enliven or fuel our determination? It can be as simple as just listen to one mantra at a time. That works. Or to serve Radha Krishna in the pleasure groves of Vrindavan. That's a little high. What purpose speaks to me personally? Get the drift. I think you get the drift. Now this is sankalpa. Simon Sinek is saying the why. We say sankalpa. Like, one more sharing and I'm going to stop telling stories. During this Vyasa Puja weekend in Chicago, in Naperville, one of the sessions I played a little song that was sung by Mahadevi Dasi about traveling Sankirtan. I didn't know her. Someone sent it to me, but it really tells the story of what years of traveling Sankirtan was for a number of us, Prabhupada disciples. You just got in a van. In their case it was 6 ladies, in our case it was 4 guys. And you load up the van up to the roof and off you go. Traveling Sankirtan ki jai. The sleeping bags. Little camper stove and things. So that was our lifestyle for years. And what her little song is what it was like. austerities and each of us a little different, but so I found out later how she got started, because she wrote a little essay about how she got started, and someone sent it to me. And George Harrison, she has heard My Sweet Lord, and she became a devotee. George Harrison gets some bhakti points. And exactly what Prabhupada, at some point George Harrison wanted to ask Prabhupada for initiation. He wasn't, attached to his hair or attached to his name or attached to something. But Prabhupada said, you can make more people Krishna conscious just by doing what you're doing. So just do what you're doing. No, there was a love between the two of them. There was some acceptance on both sides, but not the formality of initiation. Exactly the reason Prabhupada had in his heart, I don't know. But he certainly helped a lot of people become devotees. There's examples, I won't go into it. And he had his sankalpa, or his purpose. I really want to know you. I really want to be with you. I really want to see you, woo, woo, woo. But with music. But that was his heart. And guess what? There's reciprocation. That's bhakti. It's not one-sided, it's a two-sided. You'll hear about it on Sunday with the Sunday program. It's exactly our topic for Sunday. Once our purpose is identified, pursue it like a dog with a bone, through dry time, tough times, doubting times, intense and challenging times. I'm going to tell one more story. For some period of time, we had japa retreats in Gitanagari. Now, Gitanagari is the other side of the country. You folks don't know about Gitanagari. But it has a very special place in Prabhupada's heart, because when he was planning to come to America, when his health was a wreck, he stopped in London, but he was heading for Gitanagari. I don't know if you know that. He didn't make it because he had medical urgency in England. He went back to India. But that was his plan. Just stay put in Gitanagari for some time. So, for some years, we had japa retreats. Badahari and I would conduct a japa retreat together in Gitanagari. It was really nice. And one morning, very clearly remembered, the day after the 64-round day, we were staying in the Institute House, which is up on the hill where, Bhakti Tirtha Swami stayed. So we're going. I'm driving. He's in the passenger seat. How did it go? Silence. Then a soft voice, Badahari's soft voice, dry as a desert, with his voice cracking like that. It's like, Badahari? The chanting of the holy name, dry as a desert? I speak of him as like a human glubjaman. Just bump into him and he's juicy. He's like, when he starts chanting, his face lights up like a neon sign, and he's not always smiling, but you can feel the radiance of his love for the holy name is palpable. Dry as a desert. So I didn't know what to say. Then he saw it silent for some time, then a little further. It was like that for most of the day. So it was like, whew, amazing. Then they said, and then then it just shifted. It's like the clouds in the sky parted, the sun came out, and it was very sweet. But that isn't where it started. It was, if it can happen to Badahari, it can happen to any one of us, that's for sure. Here's a little example. This is it's a photograph of somebody with one of those machines in India that make sugarcane juice. You recognize it? So you put in, it looks like bamboo, but there's not bamboo, it's sugarcane. And you put it in, and you put it through the machine, and it squeezes out and they got and they give you a cup of sugarcane juice. It's really nice. But it takes a while to get the sugarcane juice out of that sugarcane. And that's determination. And even when there's challenges, a pratyapa. O holy name of Krishna, may the hard, crushing wheel of life extract humility from my offense-hardened heart. Let that humility give birth to the sweet nectar juice of devotional service to you. So this may happen to you, may it not happen to you, but it may happen to you we have our 64 round day. And it may be difficult, as it was for Bhattahari, it may be difficult for you, and you're in good company. You're with Bhattahari's company, you're in good company. But whatever it is, stay with it. Because despite challenges and obstacles and this and that, the holy name is sweet. The holy name is Krishna. And we're offering ourselves to Krishna. Offering not ourselves, we're offering Krishna to Krishna. In the form of his holy name. To the Supreme Person. Please take this. This is your name. There's a nice story behind what you see on the screen. This is a book written by one of two people. They were, during the Soviet era, they were put in jail because they were Hare Krishna guys. And they because they're vegetarian, the only non-meat item they had in the jail was bread, so they gave them bread. And Russian bread is really dry, not yummy at all. So they put salt on the bread because then they could at least get some taste. So they wrote a book. One of them died in jail. The other one survived and became a nice devotee. He still is a nice devotee. What that experience was like, against all opposition. There's many devotees that went through hardship like will not know in order to spread Krishna consciousness. Here's a runner. It is especially easy to lose hope or esteem in devotional activities of japa, recognizing how little progress one has made. This is a theme. I've been chanting for so long and reading for so long and not so much progress. Something, but not so much. Yet, for the devotee deeply experiencing that Krishna has got my back despite my weak effort and corresponding meager internal growth is the fuel to keep one going. Prabhupada says, the devotee thinks, Avasya Rakshibe Krishna. Krishna will surely protect me and give me help. For the successful execution of devotional service, this is called confidence. I'm going to go quickly. This is Shyam Sundar reading volume 1 of the 3-volume books, and his is from volume 1. Quarantine. Lost tapes, broken tape recorder, nothing seemed to rattle Prabhupada. He told the story of how in 1948, after years of labor, his 1,200-page Bhagavad Gita, as it is a manuscript, had been stolen from his home in Calcutta, and now he had simply sat down and started over. Same thing happened in the Bowery. His Bhagavad Gita manuscript was stolen. And just no whining, complaining, and this and that. Just started over. That's determination. I'll just do one more, this particular section, and then we're going to stop. Doubting is the opposite of nishchayad, brings inauspiciousness, as indicated in Bhagavad Gita. vinashati na sukham. Therefore, the Vedic statement ascertained by the previous Mahajans as relating to the qualifications for devotion are all amnaya. This is a word that he liked. He wrote a book, Amnaya Sutras. And it is necessary to learn them. Qualifications for devotion, amnaya. It is impossible to enter into the inconceivable nature without receiving the full mercy of the spiritual master. Doubts in the essential truths of devotional service disqualifies one from devotional service. So, I warned you, this is the longest class. The other class, I promise you, they're much shorter. And we'll maybe even skip the discussion because of time. How's else? We'll do it. We'll do it. Am I important to Krishna? Does he really love me? Do I see Krishna's hand in my various challenges and obstacles? Can I become a pure devotee? Do I have the potential to give my heart fully to Krishna without holding back at some point in time? Those are good questions, yeah? What do you think?
This one.
Okay. Last discussion, and then I think we'll just end without questions at the end. And if there's questions at the end that didn't get responded to because they were going to cut off, let's do that tomorrow, because it's a much shorter class. It's to save good questions. Okay? Discussion for 3 to 5 minutes. Let's go. Okay, I'm going to end with a prayer. That what's meant to be shown in this illustration is there's the heart and there's the brain or the head. And sometimes we're more in the heart department, sometimes we're more in the head department. Sometimes we're out to lunch too. So here's this nice prayer. By my previous shameful life, my heart is polluted with many illusory attachments. Personally, I have no power to stop them. Only you, Harinam Prabhu, within my heart can remove such inauspicious contamination, but whether you remove such attachments immediately or let me go on being afflicted by them, I will never give up my devotional service to you, even if you place millions of obstacles in my path. And even if, because of my offenses, I go to hell, I will never for a moment stop serving you. I am not interested in mental speculation and fruitive activities. Even if Lord Brahma personally comes before me offering such engagements, I will not even be slightly interested. Although I am attached to material things, I can see very clearly that they lead to no good because they simply give me trouble and disturb my devotional service to you. Therefore, I sincerely repent my foolish attachments to so many material things, and I am patiently awaiting your mercy. So that's a nice ending, a prayerful ending. And if you have questions, most of us forget. So if there's something that's really burning, you want to have it discussed, write it down, because that's the way that Prabhupada's teaching. If you want to remember something, write it down. It's called the yoga. So, tomorrow, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all.